guys, welcome back to the channel. So a few weeks ago I had the car out and did some 0-60 runs, and I don't think anybody noticed it in the video, but there's a snapping noise coming from the rear end. So I figured I must have screwed up the rear end again. So anyway, we get her up and I took the cover off. Everything looks good under there. Now when I turn the wheel by hand, there's like a screeching sound. So I thought maybe it was the brakes catching, so I pulled the calipers off and the noise was still there, so I thought maybe it was an emergency brake. So I pulled the rotors off and the noise was still there. So the next thing I did was disconnect the drive shaft from the rear end, and then the noise was gone. So anyway, what it turns out to be is the rear universal joint is bad in the car, and I think that's what was making the noise. I hope that's what's making the noise. Anyway, that's what we're going to do today. We're going to replace the universal joints. There she comes finally. Okay, so I think the reason the torch method didn't work to get that plastic out was that aluminum's, it's spreading the heat so much. It's not getting hot enough. But I think it's hot enough to get it out. There it is. So we was able to get it out even without getting all that plastic out. Like I said, I think it's something to do with that aluminum, because that whole dry shaft's hot. I can hardly touch it, it's so hot. There, we get the old one out. Now the front one's good on this, so I think I'll leave it. So once you clean the plastic out of here, clean this up and check for any burrs, clean them off. And here's our new ball joint, some Moog. Now you gotta remove the caps. You gotta be careful, look in there good, make sure there's none of the rollers falling over or come out. Lined up right here. Okay, so we got this one in far enough so we can get the clip in. Loosen this back down. Now, push this way. So what we want to do is push this clip up against here, and then that should get the other side to come in far enough to put the clip on it. This is where having a vise would really come in handy, and a bench. Okay. There, so that's in. Okay, so she moves freely. So I'd say she's ready to go back in the car. Now before I do, I gotta put the little grease nipple in. Okay, so it looks like you need a flat blade screwdriver to put this in. So we'll screw that in. Okay, so we'll put the dry shaft back in, and tomorrow I'll take it out and see if it's still making that noise. Okay, so the dry shaft went in quite easy. And I don't know if I mentioned, you got to make sure you put these clips on and you want them facing out, not in, is what I was told. So we'll slide the dry shaft in here. Looks like they're in there. Now we'll start the caps back on it. I don't know what the torque is on these. I just always just tighten them as tight as I can by hand. Yeah, these are 11 millimeter. Okay, now that I got them started, what I got to do is put a jack in here to get the wheels off the ground so I can turn the dry shaft. Okay, I'm just snugging them up there for now. Okay, so they're snugged up. Before I tighten them, I want to get in there and make sure them clips cleared them straps. Yeah, it looks like she cleared her. So everything's good. So now I can tighten them up. As I mentioned, I don't know what the torque is, but I just tighten them tight as I can with this. Okay guys, so I got the dry shaft back in, and guess what? The noise is still there. I don't know if that comes off on camera or not. Anyway, it's coming from up front. And I'm 99% sure it's not the front universal joint, so it has to be in the transmission. Now I'm going to take the dry shaft back out and replace that front U-joint, but like I say, I'm 99% sure that's not what's making the noise. Okay, this time we're going to change the front U-joint, even though I don't believe there's anything wrong with it. I think it's the transmission making that noise. But this time I should be able to show you better. GM injects these with nylon or plastic or something, and usually what happens when you heat them, they'll start coming out of here. The plastic will start pouring out. Now the reason it didn't on the aluminum, because the aluminum dissipates heat so fast. I couldn't get it hot enough, but it was still able to get it hot enough that it was soft so I could press it out. But this one here the plastic should start coming out when I heat it. Okay, you can see it coming out there now. There she goes. That's probably good enough for that. This tool here is used for pressing out universal joints and ball joints. It's not that expensive, like $50, $60 on Amazon, and I've used it for ball joints, and I've used it for a lot of different things. So anyway, what you want to do is you want to line it up here so that you can press that one down through, and this one lines up on here, and it should press that right out. Just got to make sure it's lined up. Okay, just like that. Okay, now we got to press it back in so we get the cup out the other side. Yeah, that should be good. There. Okay, to get this rest of this out, I'm gonna just heat this up. It's not gonna be able to get hot enough to push all that plastic out, but it'll get it nice and soft, and then I can press it out. Okay, there's the universal joint all put back in. Now, I know this isn't going to cure the problem. I figured there was nothing wrong with this U-joint, Because when I had this apart, I went under with the yoke and I put it in the transmission and turned it, and it's making, that's where the squeaking noise is coming from, is in the back of the transmission. So that was a waste of time. But this one here definitely needed to be changed. When I took it apart, it was really notchy. It wasn't loose, but the bearings and stuff were getting dry and it was quite notchy. So that one definitely needed to be replaced, but this front one was just a waste of time. Okay guys, so it's been a few days. I didn't get a chance to take the car out and try it because according to Moog, even though these universal joints have some grease in them, it's not enough. They just put enough in it to hold the needle bearings in place. So they need to be greased before you can take it out. And I didn't have the proper grease gun for it. You gotta have something like this. It's got a little needle on the end. So anyway, we're gonna grease these before we take it out. And apparently you wanna grease them until grease comes out of all the caps. So as you can see guys, it's still making that noise. I have no idea what it is, but replacing those universal joints never helped. While I knew the front one was good, the back one, it was getting a little crunchy, so it needed to be replaced. But I'm starting to lose patience with this car. I have no idea what's doing it, but if you look in this video here, when it's hooked up, it doesn't make any noise. It just seems to do it whenever it's whenever we're doing the burnout. But anyway, this is how you replace the universal joints. Hope this video helps somebody out, and we'll catch you in the next one.